Many blessings, my loves. My name is Rebecca, and this is my report for Pillars of the Moon for the new moon cycle that is beginning. Coming up on the 12th of the 12th, we have a new moon in the stars of Ophiuchus. So yes, I'm really excited to jump into this really powerful and transformative cycle that we have ahead of us. So yes, I put together a piece of art to look at the whole cycle. So I'm going to share a screen with you now. So yeah, welcoming you all. It's so nice to have you with me and my musings for this new cycle. There's lots happening. So I'm just going to do an overview of the whole cycle because I really like to look at things as a whole. And yes, so the new moon will be in Ophiuchus, 12th of the 12th at 23:32. So this is in the GMT time zone where I am. You can look up your own time on timeanddate.com. And so this new moon in Ophiuchus will be happening pretty close to the galactic center and, you know, really quite close to, yeah, it's kind of like coming towards the end of Ophiuchus and into Sagittarius. So it's a really powerful place for this new moon to be happening. So I've written here galactic center activate. And so just after the new moon on the 12th will be Mercury retrograde beginning on the 13th. And the interesting thing about Mercury retrograde, you know, it's only a few 3 weeks or so. So by the end of this cycle, he will go direct. So this whole cycle contains the Mercury retrograde within it. So Mercury retrograde actually begins his retrograde the day after the new moon and journeys all the way back through Sagittarius. And by the time of the winter solstice, the 22nd, meets with the sun at the galactic center in Sagittarius and then keeps going backwards and then starts to come forwards again by the 2nd of January. So Mercury, really, his retrograde is going all the way back through Sagittarius to the galactic center and then back forward again. So that's the big deal, this cycle. And I'll talk more in depth about that soon. I've just noticed I did a little typo with the retrograde word there. Never mind. And so, yes, on the 18th, the sun will move into Sagittarius. Then we have our first quarter moon in Pisces, which will be conjunct Neptune, who has just gone direct in the last week. So that's an interesting alignment. Also, because it's in Pisces, that's where our North Node is, and Chiron and dwarf planet Eris. You know, so the first quarter moon in Pisces is pretty loaded. And I put North Node activate because, you know, the first quarter moon with Neptune, it really is activating that north node of the moon, or the dragon's head that we call it in astrology. So yeah, moving into the winter solstice or the summer solstice, if you're in the southern hemisphere, that will be on the 22nd this year. That will be, for us in the north, the returning of the light. And from then, the days will start to get longer. And those of you who are in the south, you will have your time of most light, and then the days will be getting shorter. So beautiful time, you know, celebration and connection, but also of really deep spirituality, you know. And this cycle, you know, connected to the galactic center, Mercury going retrograde back through Sagittarius, you know, there is a lot of deep spiritual growth that could happen during this cycle. Jupiter is also going to go direct as well, which is much connected to our spirituality. So that will be happening on the 31st. The full moon will be on the 27th of December in Gemini, quite close to the Silver Gate activation. So yeah, that will be, and also Gemini obviously is the ruler. Mercury is the ruler of Gemini. So the full moon in Gemini, you know, a lot that will be working through us this whole cycle will be connected to Mercury, Gemini, our psychic abilities, our connection to spirit, our connection to source, you know, because the galactic center and the silver gate, you know, it really is about connecting our higher mind into the spiritual realms and receiving the messages from, you know, spirit deep within, the ancestors, our galactic family, star beings, you know. So with the first quarter moon with Neptune, you know, that will be really about connecting our intuition, our spiritual gifts and abilities, and listening inside, you know, getting the messages deep within. Yeah, and then the full moon in Gemini will be bringing all of that up to the surface, really connecting to that incredible visionary power to see in the inner realms, into the hidden, that which is mysterious. And then Jupiter going direct after that, you know, it could be this real connecting to our spiritual truths and inner spiritual guidance, and finding that spiritual teacher or guru inside. And then shortly after that, Mercury retrograde will end on the 2nd of January. And then we'll have our last quarter moon in Virgo on the 4th, close to the South Node. So that's the dragon's tail. So we could be feeling, you know, around the time of the last quarter moon in Virgo, the energy of the cycle is culminating. You know, we could be really reflecting on the past and really seeing, you know, the deeper source of maybe our wounds and our pains and our challenges. So that would be a really great time, you know, at the last quarter moon to really integrate and heal and some of these, you know, big things that we may have been moving through, you know, the whole cycle. So that's the overview. So I'm going to stop sharing that screen for you. And yeah, let's share another screen. So I'm going to share something with you called a kintsugi or kintsugi. I hope I'm saying that correctly. It's a Japanese word. It's a Japanese art form. Some of you may have heard of this. And it's around pouring gold into like broken bowls, and they make art with it. You know, the picture that I've got behind me is a type of kintsugi artwork. It's about the cracks within ourselves where the light gets in, you know. And so this to me is really the great work of Ophiuchus, right? The healer, the medicine woman, medicine man. It's the energy of the serpent, the venom that can kill us, but also take us to higher ways of consciousness, higher ways of being. So in one way, you know, the wound could be like the poison, and then like the sting of the scorpion, right? But Ophiuchus has the ability, you know, to bring immortality, to bring this healing of these deepest wounds. And when I jump into the charts shortly, you'll see there's a grand trine happening with Lilith, Chiron, and the new moon. You know, so Lilith connected to all of our fears and the darkness, and perhaps the ways that we sabotage or abandon ourselves, and she's in Cancer, you know, and Chiron in Pisces. They're both in water, you know. And so at the bringing the trine down to the new moon, this is in Ophiuchus. Ophiuchus sees the wounds, the deepest wounds that, you know, crack us open. I know you probably all had this experience when we get triggered into our deepest wounds and we are cracked open and we feel so raw and vulnerable and broken. We might cry and we might like really experience that pain through a trigger that might take us back into the wound. And it's in this place that if we can have awareness not to project onto other people or judge or criticize somebody else, but see the way things trigger us into our wound, into our healing, that we can open ourselves into the brokenness and welcome the light into it. And this is like welcoming the Ophiuchus energy, which some people connect to Christ consciousness. So it's like the golden light of Christ consciousness that pours into the brokenness, just like the gold pours into these vases and bowls and things that they make from the kintsugi artwork. So it's like, and in pouring this gold medicine of Christ consciousness, of healing, of love into the brokenness, we create a new wholeness that is so beautiful. I mean, this bowl, before it was broken, would just be a black bowl, but it's because of the brokenness that this beauty and wholeness is created. So this is what I wanted to share around Ophiuchus and the Ophiuchus energy and why it's so important. Because, without the energy of Ophiuchus, we just have a broken bowl. It's the Ophiuchus energy is our gateway to this consciousness, that we can heal the brokenness, that we can find the cracks where the light comes in and reassemble it, just like Isis, she reassembled her husband when he was broken. So this is also, we can fill the brokenness with love, with healing, and create a new wholeness that is so beautiful and so like unique, and really you can see by this bowl, the journey of the brokenness and how it's taken us on this journey. And if I was to, open up my being to all the places in me that are broken, and I could see the way the gold is journeying in and healing me, it's so powerful to really allow the wound to be the medicine. And I've definitely felt it the last few days. I've had a really big trigger that's taken me. I mean, my biggest wound, my Chiron is in Taurus. So, and I was born really premature. I was like 4 pounds when I was born. I was a tiny little thing. So my biggest wound has been around being too small. So my trigger the last few days has been around being belittled or feeling small in some way, or somebody said something that triggered me into this place of, oh, ow, 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 so I've been journeying with that pain, and I could bring it back to my birth. And I had this vision of little Rebekah, little me in an incubator, this tiny little being that's come through. And I just sent my inner baby so much love, as I could feel all this gold light pouring into myself, into the brokenness, and realizing through this journey of me being small, that trying to explain this in a way that when I'm journeying into myself, and I'm connecting with my cells, my DNA, which is also Ophiuchus, right? Ophiuchus connects us to the helix and the DNA. And how when we go into ourselves, into our wounds, into our innermost cells and atoms in our body, which are a lot of water, a lot of viruses, a lot of cells, we find ourselves back in the medicine of Ophiuchus, right? The serpents, and that's the DNA, the helixes. I'm doing this with my hands. So when I go into this place within myself, and I'm feeling my cells, my DNA, my helix moving and in this serpentine way, Now, this is where the Kundalini comes in and the activation of this. So when we're welcoming in this gold light into the brokenness, and we're working with the serpent energy, we can then see that inside our being is the whole universe. That's really hard for our logical brain to understand or to comprehend. When I go deeper and deeper and deeper inside my being, I find atoms of sunshine. And sunshine, light, is a star. And the star is where we come from. So when we go deeper and deeper inside ourselves, we find ourselves spiraling into this serpentine helix energy. And we find the inner atoms are stardust. So really inside the deepest parts of our being is water and stardust. And what is the frequency of creation itself is Ophiuchus. It's the energy that activates the Kundalini, the life force, the love that brings things into creation. And this is the energy, the potency of the galactic center, which is, the organized structure of our galaxy. And it's right in the center of our Milky Way. So this is where the new moon is starting. So connecting to the Ophiuchian energy as the force of creation herself, the black hole in the center of the Milky Way galaxy, the organized structure of the galaxy. When we're connecting to that place, we can open into our brokenness and drop into it, knowing that it's in that vulnerability, that opening into be healed, that the light can pour in. So it's like offering ourselves to the brokenness. Like, in some of the ancient stories we hear of people who would go and meet with, life and near-death experiences, like the biting of the venom of the snake, which could potentially kill them, but they go into an altered state of consciousness where they can connect to this energy, to the serpentine power, to the creative structures in our galaxy. So yeah, that's just a little like slice of like my musings around the Ophiuchian energy and what it could be bringing up for us this cycle. It's really connecting into the structures inside of our body and how we can work with the Ophiuchian energy to bring medicine into the brokenness, and in doing that, creating this beautiful bowl of healing that, it's gorgeous, right? So yeah, so I'm going to stop sharing that now. Drink some water. And let's jump into the live sky. So this is today in the live sky. This is Stellarium Web. Some of you who haven't maybe been on my channel before won't know that I use constellational or astronomical astrology, which is the study of the stars as they really are. Western or tropical astrology doesn't match the live sky as it is right now. When the Western horoscope was created many, many, many years ago, it's fixed in time, the wheel. And actually we know, that the earth is tilting, and this is called the precession of the equinox. So over time, the stars have moved. So we astronomical astrologers know, that the Western astrology wheel doesn't match the sky. And when we look up into the stars and we can see where the moon and the planets are, you know, we know that that is true lifetime sky astrology, which is what I use and many other astrologers that I know use. So you can do it for yourself. You can go on Stellarium Web and you can see where the moon and all the planets really are. I definitely encourage you to do that. And this is the way that our ancient ancestors would have oracled the sky, by looking into it, right? So yeah. So as I'm talking today, the moon is about to cross over Bohemian star Spica in the constellation Virgo. So as I'm recording this video, we are on the 8th today. So we're coming into the dark of the moon. So tomorrow, which will be the 9th, the moon will be meeting with Venus and her moon and Venus conjunction at the end of constellation Virgo. So you may be able to see that if you get up early enough in the morning. Those of you who are up at the dawn may be able to see Venus as her morning star with the crescent moon there. So Venus is descending now down through the gates. So she is coming descending in the morning star, and she'll have her Venus and moon conjunctions which take her down, and then she will go into her Venusian underworld where she will be for a period of time, and then she will ascend as our evening star again, and then she'll have her ascension with her Venus moon conjunctions going up in the evening sky. So that's just a little slice of Venus love. So yeah, she is descending down at the moment. So she will be in the Venusian underworld soon. But I'm not going to go any more into that because I want to go into the new moon. So the new moon is going to be on the 12th of the 12th, and the time will be 23:32. 23. Oh goodness, what is happening? 23:32. It's really nice to be recording this video as the moon is with Spica. Spica is connected to magical gifts and abundance and the magic of the harvest. So I'm really enjoying this energy today, and I'm feeling very inspired and very supported by the stars. So there we go. This is the new moon. So we're looking at 23:32 on the 12th of the 12th. And so let's zoom on in so we can see the moon and the sun together in the new moon time. So let's just have a look at the sky. This is the constellation of Ophiuchus. So you can see the red lines all the way around the edges here. That's the boundaries of Ophiuchus. And let's just click on Scorpius. This is the boundaries of Scorpius, the red lines along here. So those of us who use astronomy as our astrology consider the sun to be in Ophiuchus right now. Scorpio goes underneath the ecliptic. Ophiuchus is stars are mostly above the ecliptic, but the leg comes down over the ecliptic. Much closer, actually, than the stars of Aries, for example, that many of us use as a star sign. Ophiuchus is definitely part of our wheel. Like I've shared before, you know, if we don't include Ophiuchus, you know, we're not including the energy of Christ consciousness, which takes us into the galactic center, which takes us back to source. So Ophiuchus is the symbol of Christ consciousness, but it's really, when we think about Jesus, it's the energy of ascension, of death and rebirth, which is Scorpio is the death, Ophiuchus is the ascension into spirit. Ophiuchus is the energy to resurrect ourselves, you know, so this energy, the Ophiuchian constellation, you know, in the Western astrology wheel isn't included, you know, so we could say that we are just dying and then repeating the old cycle. So the energy of Ophiuchus is like, okay, so something is dying, and the Ophiuchian energy makes medicine from the death and heals it and enables the soul to come into wholeness so that it can ascend. Not in its brokenness, it's the healing that allows the soul to come into higher states of consciousness. So without this energy, we're just like hamsters on a wheel, just keep repeating the old cycles and going back into the trauma and back into the wound. It's like we have the wound and the death of the scorpion, and then we have to just do it again for lifetimes and lifetimes. And then the Ophiuchian energy comes in and say, actually, let's integrate that wound, let's heal it, and then we don't have to repeat it. So then as a soul, we can journey home perhaps to our star families and different galaxies and different star systems. Maybe the Ophiuchian energy, like I feel like when we're going through the galactic center, we can tune into, completely galactic places that my logical brain can't comprehend because it's so vast. But a lot in my meditations recently has been about going inside to my atoms and my DNA. And when I go this deep inside, I just feel like the cosmos, and I can expand from inside myself into the whole cosmos. And then I feel my consciousness or my soul. This is the comedy of little Rebekah and the smallness. I can laugh at it because when I journey into the smallness, I find laughter because I can feel the vastness and the infinite immortality of my soul. My soul is immortal. My soul is infinite. And we can reincarnate as we choose when we are aligned with Ophiuchus. Maybe when we die from this physical body and we've come to this place of healing and integrating all the wounds of the lifetime, we complete our life and we integrate the wounds so we can ascend into higher consciousness as a whole integrated lifetime. Then maybe we can choose if we come back again and we have another lifetime, or if we go back to the stars or wherever we came from. So I really feel this, and I'm really like, my Saturn is here. So yay, this new moon is happening on my Saturn. So I'm actually feeling this structures of the galaxy. Oh my goodness. So yeah, it's very interesting. But anyway, I'm gonna write in here butterfly cluster. So zooming on in. So Messier 6 is really close to Sagdie star, which is the galactic center, which is M6. So around this area here, you can see that this is the Milky Way galaxy, this white line along here. Oh, this is getting super cosmic, this report, isn't it? I haven't even jumped into the chart yet. So yeah, so this is the sun and in Ophiuchus at the time of the new moon. So this line along here, you can see this white line is the Milky Way. And this is Sirius. And as we're coming along, I'm just going to flip. Woohoo! Okay, right. Okay, so that's how I want it to be. Right, so we've got Sirius under here along the Milky Way. And then we've got Orion, the hunter here. So you can see his hand. So this is around where the silver gate of reincarnation is. So this will be around where our full moon will be on the 27th. So that'll be in Gemini. So this whole cycle is really connected to the golden gate in Sagittarius, and the silver gate in Gemini. The Golden Gate is connected to the gate of the gods. So imagining, like I said, that we are dying and we are leaving our physical body and we are healing with the energy of Ophiuchus, and then we meet with our soul essence, our own infinite immortal soul that can journey into the cosmos, you know, and then there is a choice of reincarnating again back through the Silver Gate here in Gemini. So yeah, the Milky Way galaxy, look at this, so beautiful, and it takes us all the way along, joining the gates of life and death, of soul and physical being. So when I look at this area of the stars here, it's kind of like a cloudy area, and it really looks to me like a vulva. Oh my goodness, I can't not see it. Now I've seen it. You know, it's the black hole at the center of the Milky Way galaxy, you know, where baby stars are born and the stuff is pulled in and sucked out, and it's like a vagina in the stars, basically. That's the way I see it, and I can't unsee it now. So there you go. Yes, and then we have Cygnus the Swan at the top here, which I spoke about before. This is the cross. We are crossing over, crossing from one way of being in the physical into spirit, you know. And when we talk about somebody who's crossed over, they've passed into spirit, into the unseen realms. Oh, lots of energy coming in. So yeah, here we go. This is our cosmic vulva. So let's talk a little bit about Mercury retrograde. Before I go into the charts. So yeah, Mercury retrograde is happening on the 13th. So let's move to the 13th. So this is just the day after the new moon. So I'm wanting to take you on a little Mercury adventure with me. So Mercury is in Sagittarius, you can see here. So as Mercury retrograde begins, the new moon is coming quite close to Mercury in the Sagittarian constellation. So Mercury in Sagittarius, what could this retrograde be about? You know, and I was saying earlier, you know, it's about our spiritual truths, our connection to the cosmos. And Mercury is the messenger of the gods, you know. So this whole cycle with Mercury going retrograde through Sagittarius to the galactic center and back again, it's like our connection and our voice into the unseen realms, into the spiritual realms. So let's go forward in time. Mercury, you can see, is now going backwards towards the galactic center, and the sun is coming forwards. And look at this. This is magic. This is so magic, because the day of the winter solstice, or the summer solstice in the south, 22nd of December, the sun and Mercury retrograde are so close together. And look where they are. You know, they are right at the M6, which is the galactic center. Oh my goodness. You know, so Mercury's going back to meet with the sun at the winter solstice at the galactic center. So this is the messenger of the gods returning to the light of Christ consciousness to awaken this inner fire within and the voice from beyond the veil. These messages can be coming through. So I am feeling, you know, that this cycle, especially around the solstice, we're going to be receiving a lot of messages from deep within, from the cosmos. We could be receiving downloads, and so much will be coming in, so much light, so much medicine, so much healing. And so this, around this time, you know, around the solstice, I would recommend doing channeled writing, meditations, really connecting to our dreams and our visions, really tuning into these messages that could be coming from the divine, from the essence of spiritual love, you know. And Mercury, you know, is the communicator, so we could be really communicating as well with our beloved dead, with those who have crossed over. We could be feeling these deep voices coming from like, oh, wow, our spirit guides, our ancestors, God, source, creation. You know, this energy will be coming in strong for us around the solstice time. And then Mercury will keep going back again, and the sun will be moving forward. And then Mercury will be meeting with Mars. And then when does Mercury start going forward? Let's look. Ooh. Stationing direct. And now starting to move forward again. So the beginning of January. So just before the end of this cycle, Mercury will be going direct. So this whole cycle is really Mercury connected. I wanted to go back to the 22nd as well. Whoop. I'm so excited and it's not going fast enough. Wow. Okay. So let's go back to the solstice. And I just want to jump over to Jupiter. So on the day of the winter or summer solstice, 22nd. Let's bring it back in time a bit. The moon will be joining with Jupiter. So that's a beautiful alignment as well, you know. So the moon has come from its journey from its new moon, and it's come all the way through. It's past Saturn, it's past Neptune. And at the time of the solstice, the moon is with Jupiter. So Jupiter is very generous. Jupiter is very abundant and expansive. You know, so the energy of the moon and Jupiter at the time of the winter solstice could be really connecting us to, you know, I keep thinking of Santa Claus, but I really think of the energy of Grandmother Winter, actually, is what I'm really connecting to with my family. But the energy of generosity and sharing and giving, and also connecting to our spiritual truths. Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius, see the connection. So as I was saying, around the time of the solstice on the 22nd, Mercury will be with the sun, the moon will be with Jupiter, you know, so we have got an opportunity to really connect with the cosmic energies and expand into the cosmos, you know, expand into the abundance of the structures of the galaxy, of the ways that the universe is formed and moves, and how that is also inside our very being, that we are stardust and we are cosmic, we are spirit and we are matter, you know. So there is, yeah, that is just such a beautiful, on its way to fullness, you know, on the day of the solstice, you know, the moon and Jupiter are together. And then by the end of this cycle as well, Jupiter will be going direct. Oh, when was that? I'm trying to remember when it was. Have I got it written down somewhere? Jupiter direct. I haven't got it written down. It's on my other, this one. Let me see. Jupiter direct, 31st of the 12th. So Jupiter will be going direct then, you know. So yes, so this energy of Jupiter going direct on the 31st, you know, it's, let's go forward to the 31st and we'll see him start to move forward again. There he goes, very slowly compared to Mercury, but he's moving forward again. So on the time of the solstice, you know, Jupiter is in retrograde with the moon. So we could be really reflecting on this spiritual truth, this highest frequency of expansion and exploring the cosmos. You know, this winter would have been the time where our ancestors really rested and connected to, you know, the ancestors in the spiritual realms to gain wisdom for the new cycle to come, to gain inspiration and teachings from beyond the veil. It's a time of visioning, Jupiter at Sagittarius connected to being the visionary of the cosmos. You know, so by the end of this cycle, Jupiter going direct, it's like we can draw those visions out of the cosmic realms and into a new beginning, into a new cycle for Jupiter. So that's very exciting. So the new moon that will be coming on the 11th of the 1st, 111, will be with Pluto in Sagittarius. So there will be a whole new cycle beginning for us to do with Sagittarius and our spiritual truths and visions, conjunct Pluto. So this, you know, this cycle, it feels like with the Mercury energy retrograde, Jupiter going direct, the first quarter moon connected to Neptune, this whole cycle feels about turning within, seeking our spiritual counsel and our highest truths, you know, and our integrity and our values and all that we love, all that we want to bring into the world, connected to inspiration and visions from the dark, from the inner realms, to then begin a new cycle on the 111, knowing with Jupiter going direct, Mercury going direct, that we are bringing these, our soul frequency out into the light. So yes, whew, that's what's going to be happening. Okay, I've been talking for so long already, so I'm just going to jump into the new moon chart. Whew, when I get really excited like this, it's so funny, like I love it. But anyway, right, so you can see the new moon will be 12th the 12th, 2332, and we've got 12 degrees of Ophiuchus here. Mercury, 11 degrees of Sagittarius. So you can see that we've got beautiful trine with Jupiter and the new moon. So this, you know, it also amplifies what I was just saying about Jupiter and how he is connected to this new moon. Mercury will be going retrograde all the way back through Sagittarius and then forwards again. So going back to our spiritual beliefs, where those beliefs come from, connecting to beyond the veil, and then bringing them forth out into a new beginning. Jupiter will also be going forwards again by the end of this cycle. So the new moon starts here in Ophiuchus. So we're starting by, you know, if we're connecting to this grand trine that I was talking about at the beginning, so Chiron in Pisces, and dwarf planet Eris is just here. She's not in my chart, but she is here with the North Node and Chiron in Pisces, coming over to Black Moon Lilith in the constellation Cancer. So we've got water and water. And this is all about healing our wounds, you know, or coming into awareness of our wounds, you know. And the Cancer energy with Lilith, it's all about the abandonment of the mother, the abandonment of that caregiving energy, of security of the mother, you know. So, or fears of abandonment, fears of rejection, or fears of not feeling connected to the hive. No, because she's near the beehive cluster in constellation Cancer. So Cancer energy is also connected to community. And so the Black Moon energy in Cancer is connected to abandonment from the community, or not feeling part of the community, or yeah, it could definitely be around abandonment of the mother and the mother line and the female energy. Chiron over in Pisces, you know, it's healing the collective, and that's our destiny with the North Node here, you know. And it's really oceanic, it's really like deep in the bottom of the ocean and sinking down to these deepest lost parts of ourselves. And these deepest wounds, like I was sharing at the beginning, this is what Ophiuchus is going to be working us this cycle. So grand trine, you know, this water and water comes into ether of Ophiuchus, and the ether element is what brings all the other elements together. It's that which unites us, you know. So our wounds unite us. You know, we all have wounds, we all have trauma, we all have things that make us cry or take us into this spiraling of abandonment or you know, fears and all these things. So, you know, and finding the medicine there is, this energy is so beautiful, but we have to be willing to be vulnerable, you know, and be seen in those wounds and share those wounds. Mercury in Sagittarius is just share our truths around our wounds and to be seen and heard in that place. Then we can pour the gold into the cracks by opening ourselves up to be witnessed in that pain. This is the grand trine that feels very significant to me around this whole cycle. And this is where we're starting, you know, Mercury going retrograde through Sagittarius. It could be really healing for our voice to really share around these wounds and these fears. And that's where the light comes in, you know, when we bring it into awareness, when we share about it, when we speak up about the things that hurt us or the pain or the wounds or the grief that we're feeling or the sadness, whatever it is, you know. So this energy could really be helpful. You know, we could be sharing in circles, in communities, we could be sharing with therapists, you know, and also really connecting this whole cycle, you know, with the Neptune and Jupiter influences and the Mercury in Sagittarius influence. Like, I would really suggest connecting to a spiritual practice. So that could be yoga, meditation, it could be breath work, it could even be connecting to nature, it could be art, that could be a spiritual practice. However we connect to the cosmos or connect our higher mind, dropping out of, you know, the logical left side of the brain and coming into the creative right side of the brain, into our intuition, into our telepathy, into the ways that we connect to our soul and our highest power. Yeah. Now, what else did I want to share around this new moon? So the energy of Neptune, which is where the first quarter moon will be, is in square to the Mars energy. And it's also kind of quite close to the sun and the moon in Ophiuchus. So it feels like the Neptune has just gone direct, you know, so we could be feeling like this explosion of like spiritual awakenings and energy coming in. But there could also be like, we could be deluding ourselves with our wounds and our fears, or not being able to see clearly, you know, what's happening inside of us and our triggers and our wounds. So building that energy towards the first quarter, which will be the following week, you know, we could really be using the energy of Neptune to take us into our dream world. We could be doing lots of like analysis of our dreams. You know, when you have a really interesting dream, you know, what was that about? What was that telling me? What's the teaching in that dream? And like also trying to expand our intuitive abilities, like testing ourselves. I do it all the time. Like if my partner is out, I try to intuitively tune into when they're going to be back and feel it, and then just see if I can like get it right. Like testing my intuition and trying things out like that can really help to expand it. It's like a muscle we need to build. So yeah, so I'm thinking the first quarter moon in Pisces, I just wanted to show you that it's really close to Neptune here in the Pisces constellation. So yeah, the energy of the first quarter is the building of the cycle. So we're actually building towards the energy of Neptune. So building towards our visions, our dreams, our spirituality, we're building towards something greater. You know, Neptune is connected to the higher octave of Venus. Neptune is all about compassion and higher love, you know, so connecting to Neptune in that way, oh, so beautiful, right? So we're building the cycle with this, you know, but there's challenges, you know, there's obstacles, and we might still be like downward spiraling into the wounds. So this is where Ophiuchus really comes in. You know, by the time of the first quarter moon, the sun is right on the cusp of Sagittarius at the coming into the galactic center area. You know, Mercury is then retrograde, as you can see. So we are building towards this vision, this inspiration, spiritual beliefs, spiritual truths. This is the energy of the visionary, and receiving messages from the gods or goddess, or however you want to see that. So I will come back at around the time of the full moon in Gemini. I'm going to stop sharing the screen now. I've been talking for a long time. It's quite a long video, but there was a lot to share today. So I'm really hoping that some of that is useful and you enjoyed it. I've got the light coming in now. So like the light, boom, on my head. The cracks where the light gets in is like where we can heal and where we can grow and expand into wholeness by healing these deepest wounds. And then the wound becomes the gift. You know, that which was broken becomes our superpower. And then we can share that with others and really change the world by really doing the work on ourselves. So yeah, hopefully you enjoyed that, my loves, and I'll see you in 2 weeks. Many blessings on this Ophiuchus new moon. Sending you so much love.